Hello and welcome to the Easter Monday Championship predictions from the Honest Football Podcast. I'm Craig Savage, and with me, as always, is Daniel Cody and Charlie. Let's have a recap of the Good Friday fixtures. Points in it. Daniel Cody got 3 perfect scores for Preston versus Norwich in the 95th minute, which stolen Charlie's perfect score there, or at least a point at least. He also got Birmingham 1, Swansea 0, and Huddersfield 1, Brentford 1. I got 2 perfect scores with Barnsley versus Reading and Wickham versus Blackburn. Charlie didn't get any perfect scores, but he got 4 points, so that's good for him. But Daniel Cody, fantastic result for him. He got 12 points overall to my 8. So the table looks like this. I'm on 292 with 51 perfect scores. Daniel Cody is on 275 with 46 perfect scores. And Charlie Betts is on 242 with 34 perfect scores. So let's start at the top of the table with Watford. They are away to Middlesbrough. Cody, who can stop Watford?
Nobody. The second place is wrapped up for sure because Swansea and Brentford, as we mentioned on Friday, faltering at the wrong time and both did again. So nobody can stop Watford. Neil Warnock will try and keep this game tight, try and keep it cagey, but Watford's, the early season problem was away from home. And we've got to be fair, we doubted Xisco and he has been unbelievable at Watford. So fair play to him. Unfortunately, a poor start in the Premier League next year and he'll be gone by October. But for now, a good Watford win. They're on the roll. No one will stop them. 1-0 to Watford.
Charlie?
He's taken my score, and I'll tell you for why, because actually as great as Watford have been, plus 27 goal difference at home, only plus 3 away. So obviously the results are going the right way, but they're not as expansive and certainly not as attacking away from home, which, works for them. But on that basis, maybe, just maybe, and it hasn't happened all season, we're 460 odd games in, but maybe there'll be a late one from a counter-attack from a corner. So I'm going to go for 2-0 instead.
I think we're going to have to agree on Watford win. They've just been unbelievable on this current run. I think the team that'll probably do it will be Luton. They'll break that run. Yeah, Middlesbrough, I don't think they've got much to play for now, to be honest. We've still got a chance of making the first, but I think obviously the last 2 games are lost. I think it's starting to slip away and it's starting to end in a bit of disappointment for them. I'm going to go Watford to win 2-1. Up next at Eden Park, it is Blackburn Rovers versus Bournemouth. Charlie, good win for Bournemouth against Middlesbrough on Friday. Do you think they'll sneak into the playoffs?
I don't know if they'll sneak into the playoffs, but I do think they'll win on Monday. What happens after that we can discuss in future weeks. I still think the jury's out a little bit on Woodgate. I think he's beaten teams that he probably should be beating with the squad that he's got, and teams are in poor form. One of those being again Blackburn on Monday. I mean, we're 461. I've just checked games into the season. We've predicted every single one of them. And yet I still don't think we're a single one of us has got a correct score for Blackburn, right? Which just shows where we are. Do you know what I mean in that sense? Because it's just such a tough team to predict. It could be 0-0, it could be 4-4. Do you know what I mean? It's that kind of thing with Blackburn. I'm going to have to go for a Bournemouth win. A bit more conservative this time. Blackburn might just get one because Bournemouth haven't been the tightest at the back. 2-1 Bournemouth.
Cody?
I mean, I've got to back Charlie with a Bournemouth win. Although, looking into this before, over the course of the season, Blackburn are very mid-table at home and Bournemouth are very mid-table away from home. So, away from home, Bournemouth haven't been great, to be honest. The home form and the 2 good results are skewing me. No, I'm going to change it. I'm going to go for the Championship's favourite scoreline of 1 apiece because I still think Bournemouth will make the playoffs. But as Charlie mentions, there's still a cloud over Woodgate and tactically on the road, I think he might get caught out. 1 apiece.
You took my result there, Cody. Like you took Charlie's result in the first fixture. I'm going to go Bournemouth to win, actually. Blackburn, they've just dropped. And to be honest, the way the points are looking for teams around there, they can drop as low as 19th. That's how bad they've been in 2021. So I'm going to go Bournemouth to win 2-0. Up next at St Andrews, it is Coventry City versus Bristol City. Charlie, Coventry, they needed that win at the weekend. Didn't get it, but can they do it against Bristol City, who have not been in good form themselves?
This is a real tough one because neither team's been in good form recently, and particularly Coventry in front of goal, which, Dan has been, I'll eat humble pie over it. I think Dan was saying that from week 1 when they were winning and stuff, and actually they have struggled. And I think, being brutally honest, and Coventry fans, I know there's a lot of them who watch this, that could have been more yesterday against QPR. I think they were lucky in a weird way to get out away with a 3-0. So I do worry about that. It's coming to the crunch time. You don't want to be hitting bad form and like they are. Bristol City, all I will say is Bristol City are slightly better away from home. So on that basis, I think I'm going to go for Bristol City being the better of the 2 teams who are not in great form by 3-1, Bristol City. They score 3 away from home every time they win, under Pearson.
I'm not sure it's going. I don't think there'd be a game for your purists. Oh, I'm gonna go for Championship's favourite scoreline on this one. I can't see anything between these two sides. Won't be many goals. 1-1. Cody.
I'm genuinely astonished that you've both backed Coventry to score after 3 blanks in a row. But as Charlie mentioned, Bristol City have been brilliant on the road since Nigel Pearson took charge. They're yet to lose under him on the road. Haven't won a home game or haven't got a point at home. Coventry have been very good at home or decent at home still and not very good on the road. I can't see Coventry scoring. The keeper had a nightmare on Friday, which surely won't happen again. But I'm really worried for them. So I'm going to go for Bristol City to win. I'm sticking with Charlie's law of 3 away goals, but I can't see the Coventry one. So 3-0 for me.
Up next, Kenilworth Road. It is Luton versus Barnsley. Cody, Luton, not great. Could have taken a chance at 1-0. Didn't take it. Barnsley, stalling a little bit.
Yeah, we mentioned about Barnsley, the difference when you're in that position, in the top 6 and the expectations on you. Actually, with Bournemouth's game in hand, they can now overtake the 2 clubs above them. So it might take a bit of pressure off Barnsley. Charlie's sort of worst fears with Luton did sort of seem to happen on Friday. They were the worst I've seen in a while against Derby. Silly errors in the game. But to be honest, to be a safe, comfortable mid-table club is something I've not seen in my 20-odd years supporting them. So I'm happy enough with that. I'm going to go for a draw because I don't think Barnsley are great defensively. And I think even Luton will get a goal against them. So I'm going to go for 1 apiece. But I still think Barnsley will make the playoffs.
Charlie.
Yeah, I have to sort of agree with that. And I think with Luton, unfortunately, got the pina coladas and the beach towels out now because they're sort of thinking about the holidays already, you know. And I don't like saying that, but as a Luton fan, I'm sure you'd take that. But from a predictions point of view, it's not necessarily the easiest to know what's going to happen. I think, unfortunately, I don't think they'll get a result against Barnsley. I think Barnsley are much, considering, like you say, Craig, they're still unbeaten in the last 6 away from home. In fact, one of the 5 of the last 6 as well. So I think I have to back them. I probably have to go for the same as the other day, 2-0. It's not a bad reflection on Nathan Jones or his job at Luton, but I just think that really the season's sort of petered out. And that happens, you'd have taken that at the beginning of the year. So for me, 2-0 Barnsley.
I think this will be a good game. Luton will want to play to win. I think Nathan Jones will always want into, regardless of finishing being mid-table right now, he having boys to win. He wants to get as many points as possible. 50 is good. 50 is pretty much the safety line, but he wants more. He wants to obviously get past the total from last season. I think I'm going to go for a draw, and I'm going to go for 2-2. Up next, City Ground. It is Nottingham Forest versus Queen's Park Rangers. A good Forest away win, Cody, at Cardiff.
Yeah, and remarkably, 1 shot on target, 1 goal. They're coming up against a side who are in very good form in QPR. They dominated possession, they dominated the chances, albeit against a Coventry side that's been poor on the road. So I actually think now that the confidence is coming back to Forest, albeit only a 1-0 win, I think this is going to be a great game. I really do. QPR haven't got much to play for. They can just go all out. And on the road this season, they've generally been pretty good. So I'm going to go for QPR to beat Forest 2-1, but I think Forest will take the lead and QPR will turn it round.
I'm going to go for QPR to win. Yeah, great result for Forest at Cardiff. Give them credit. QPR fantastic against Coventry, but I don't see many goals in this one. I really don't know why. I'm going to go for 1-0 to Queen's Park Rangers. Charlie.
I wish I'd been bolder the other day because I did actually say about how I think Forest set up better against teams who come to attack them, which is what Cardiff did. And I went for 1-0 and I probably should have been bolder and gone for a Forest win, hindsight and all of that. But I think this will be similar. I think QPR set up the same way. They go all guns blazing, they go out to attack. And I completely agree with what Dan's saying, and that's a more than likely result. But I just think I've backed Forest a bit this season. I'm going to do it again. Probably won't work. But on the basis that genuinely, I think their setup to eat, against teams who come flying forward generally seems to be better. It does yield better results. Might only be a draw. So I'm torn between the Championship's favourite scoreline, which didn't go for me the other night. So I'm going to back Forest this time. 1-0 Nottingham Forest.
For the 40th time, Charlie's gone for 1-0 Forest win. Up next, it is Reading versus Derby. Charlie, without a doubt, was probably the miss of the season for Lucas João. But let's forget about that. Just go for the positives of how well Lucas João's been this season.
Yeah, he's been brilliant. And I think, I think the only thing I would say on I'm thinking longer term in terms of Reading, if they do still in around those playoffs and potentially go up, I think there needs to be a bit more depth because when he's not playing and they've had injuries this year, they really have struggled. So that's something, especially as the running gets a bit tighter and games come a bit thicker and faster, that could be the difference between them either making the playoffs or at least doing well in them. So, maybe they need a bit more depth over the summer, but that's another discussion. I think in terms of playing against Derby, they probably didn't want a Derby team that just come off a 2-0 win. However, I would argue Derby are probably going to be safe now. So do they take the foot off the pedal and go back to the Derby we had 2 or 3 weeks ago? I'm going to bank on that. So I'm going to go for a Reading win, particularly with Lucas Shaw, like you say, maybe being fit, and most of their best players being fit at the minute. So I'm going to go for a bolder one because I think when Derby do go, they go big. So 3-0 Reading.
Cody?
Couldn't disagree more, actually, because the Reading draw in their last home game against QPR was their first home draw of the season. And before that, I was thinking this is going to be a certain draw. However, Derby played really decently against Luton, albeit without the strongest opposition against them. And Reading are just starting to falter. But a bit like I mentioned with Barnsley, the playoffs are now officially out of their hands because Bournemouth have got the game in hand. So I think the pressure's going to be off. Their last 2 home victories were against sides that were in the bottom half of the table. And they're still decent at home. So Reading are going to win it. It's going to be tight, though. I think it's going to be 2-1. Might be a controversial set piece.
Stop nicking my scores. Because I was going to go for 2-1 to Reading. But I think Charlie also puts up a good theory. If Derby concede early, they do capitulate quite badly. I hope Lucas Shaw does score, to be fair, because even though it was a bad miss, I don't know what he was thinking of. But I hope he can bounce back. Good thing for him, he's got a game 2 days later, and he can hopefully bounce back. So I think he will score. I think that'll be the only goal, actually. I'm going to go for 1-0 to Reading. Next game, massive game, probably the game of the day. It is Rotherham United versus Wycombe. Charlie, Rotherham pick up those 3 points, puts a lot of pressure on Coventry.
It does. I think it's the one game of the weekend, though, that has finally broken Dan's stat record, which was Rotherham had less possession and lost the game. But, Millwall again, they're a bit hit and miss. So I think Rotherham will be disappointed with that one. I think, to be honest, Millwall were probably there for the taking. There's a lot of pressure on this one. Wycombe on the converse to, I'm getting in there before Dan does, 31% possession, win the game 1-0. So, it speaks volumes. I think that plays into Wycombe's hands. I'll be honest, I found this the toughest one to call because actually I think Rotherham do maybe keep the ball a bit more. Wycombe probably do set up a bit better, being able to counter like that and soaking up a bit of that pressure, giving away a lot of the ball. But then, like they did against Blackburn, my worry is it's away from home. And Wycombe, unfortunately, as much as I want them to do well, have been woeful away from home. I think the pressure might get to Rotherham, but I don't think Wycombe will have enough. So I'm going to have to bottle it. I'm going to go straight down the middle, whether I go 1-1 or 2-1. Wycombe haven't scored a lot. 1-1, Champions' favourite scoreline.
I think this is the game that Rotherham actually really wanted, despite Wycombe's recent good form. This is the game that they really wanted, a must-win game. They have to win it. I think they will. Puts the pressure on Coventry and Birmingham again. Obviously, with the games in hand, a little bit of pressure. Even Derby, it's a bit of a points gap, but you never know. If Derby go back to poor form, I'm going to go Rotherham to win 2-0. Cody.
The things that I'm juggling here are Rotherham playing with 10 men for over half an hour on Friday. That late penalty miss, I am almost certain, will be the thing that they're going to regret the most at the end of the season. Wycombe's good form recently has only really been at home. A 0-0 draw at Coventry, based on their recent form, wasn't a great result. I actually think this is going to be opposite of when they met at the start of the season. And I think Rotherham nicked a late winner that game. It was the first game of the season. And I think this is going to go the opposite way. I think it's going to be an absolute thriller because everyone thinks it's going to be an awful game or a very cagey game. I'm going to go for 3-2 to Wycombe, and they're going to win it in stoppage time.
I really, really hope that comes in, regardless of points and league titles and all that. I desperately hope that comes in. That'd be a hell of a story. Right?
And make the relegation battle exciting.
Well, yeah, because obviously Wycombe are on 30 points. If they win that game, it goes to 33, and they're only 6 points with 6 games to go. So you never know. 2 teams that will be absolutely nothing to play for at the moment. It is Stoke versus Millwall. Charlie, classic Michael O'Neill special.
Yeah, I'll be honest, Craig, you doubted him. You doubted him, and twice in a row he's delivered. Look, are Stoke going to make the playoffs? I know. But have they hit form at the right time for us to maybe predict them a little bit easier? I don't know. The thing is, Millwall, another one, they're a bit erratic, Millwall, but they don't score a lot of goals. Stoke have only lost 1 in the last 5 at home, so I'm going to have to back Stoke on this. Not a lot of shots. This will be a drab one. I haven't been bold so far. I'm not going to be in this one. 1-0 Stoke.
I was going to suggest 0-0, but I know these 2 teams will probably score for some random reason. So I'm going to play safe. I'm going to go Champions Folk scoreline of 1-1. Cody.
Again, I'm so conflicted on this because Millwall really struggled against 10 men for the last half an hour against Rotherham. Stoke only had 2 shots on target for their 2 goals, but Nick Powell is starting to look like the player we once thought he was going to be. And if one of these sides wins it, there could only be 4 points off the playoffs at the end of play with 6 games to go. You can't rule them out. And as I went for Stoke to go up at the start of the season, as Charlie had them in the playoffs, we've got to go for it. Stoke are going to win 2-0 again, and they are going to be right in the mix for the top 6.
Up next to Liberty Stadium, it is Swansea versus Preston. Cody, Swansea, 3 defeats in a row, the wrong time to be on this form.
Absolutely. And no goals in those 3 games either, which is another concern for them. And even before that, they'd only scored 1 goal apiece against Luton and Blackburn. They're really drying up in front of goal. Oh, I don't know what to do with this game because Preston had been woeful, but they were really good against Norwich. They really put in a good display under the new caretaker. Still no announcement on a manager moving forward. I think the bounce continue. Preston, when they have been scintillating this season, it's generally been on the road. And Swansea just look like they can't buy a win. I'm going to go for 3-1 to Preston.
Charlie.
It's tough. I completely get where Dan's coming from. Swansea are slightly better at home. So if there is going to be a Preston win, I don't necessarily think it'll be by a big margin. But I just think any manager worth his salt has got to try and stop the rot. And even at home, maybe be a bit more conservative. So I think they're going to play for a draw. I think the draw will suit Preston. I mean, classic to what you're saying. Again, gave away loads of possession against Norwich, sneak a last-minute equaliser. Might even do the same against Swansea in the sense of, Swansea will probably keep the ball a bit better. So I'm going to go for a draw. I'm going to go for a 4-goal thriller, 2 each.
Preston has a great result for them, regardless, because they have been absolutely woeful. Swansea, I think it's starting to get a bit desperate. Same with Brentford, starting to get a bit desperate. But they need to find a way to win again. And I think it'll be this game. And I'm going to go for 1-0. Hopefully, another team that will bounce back from their defeat is Cardiff. They are away to Sheffield Wednesday. Cody, I won't go about Cardiff. I'll go about Sheffield Wednesday because the pressure is now starting to mount. It wasn't a convincing 1-0 defeat. So you could take that as a positive.
Yeah, I think they put up a decent effort. I still go back to it. The draw at home to Huddersfield is the result that's going to cost them. And both teams are in must-win territory here. Cardiff have got to win if they want to make the playoffs. Sheffield Wednesday have got to win if they want a chance of staying up. Do you know what? I think this is going to be a great game because I think both sides are going to be going for it. But Cardiff don't really look capable of scoring from open play recently. The Mick McCarthy honeymoon seems to have dried up. And Sheffield Wednesday, they can't afford to lose. So I'm going to go for the Championship's favourite scoreline. But I think it's going to be a good game with lots of direct football.
I totally agree on total direct football. But one team's going to do better than the other team. That team's going to be Cardiff. I generally think they'll be a lot better. If they could just get the deliveries right, to the right people, I think they'll be fine with it. Just got to keep up the goals on the other side. They are starting to leak a bit more. So I'm going to go for 2-0 to Cardiff. Charlie.
It's tough because if I'm honest, I don't know if you read, but Darren Moore was tested positive. So I don't think he'll be at the game. Him not being there could be a major difference. I mean, let's be honest, they've got a real tough run anyway, coming off of an international break after they just won, like I say, Watford, Cardiff, QPR, Swansea. I think they've got to come out. Whether that plays into Cardiff's hands or not, I don't know. But I'm going to go for 5 goals, purely because even though Darren Moore's not there, I want them to stay up. And this is not based on logic. It's the first result that's not based on logic. 3-2 Sheffield Wednesday.
Final 2 games on Tuesday. It is Brentford versus Birmingham at the Brentford Community Stadium. Charlie, 2 wins in 2 at home for Lee Bowyer.
It's tough. That's some confidence boost. And Brentford obviously fought again today in the time of recording in a draw. Huddersfield, I mean, I will say Brentford are stronger at home. They certainly score more at home. I can't split them. I'm going to have to go for a draw, but I think there'll be goals in it. Again, another one, 2 each.
I'm going to have to go the same way as you, Charlie. Not on the draw, but I think there'll be goals in it. Because I think Birmingham, if they can work on the set piece as well against Brentford, I think they can bully them a little bit, to be fair. This has probably been my wild one of the match days. It is 3-2 to Brentford. Cody.
Well, I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game. My 2 scores were either Championship's favourite scoreline or 1-0 Brentford, and neither of you have ruled one out for me, which gives me a decision to make. So I genuinely worry for Birmingham on the road. I don't think their setup suits it. I don't think the players they have at the club suits it. But Brentford, while they don't look like losing a game, really, they don't look like winning one either. So you've got to bank on Ivan Toney to score. Brentford will definitely get one. I'm going to go for the 3rd straight 1-1 draw, and I think it will be the official end of their top 2 hopes. And
the final game, it is Norwich City versus Huddersfield. Charlie, Huddersfield, 4 draws out of the last 5. Unbeaten, though, in those 5. They did pick up that win. Have we gone a bit quiet on them?
Yeah, we have. And it's tough because Norwich have drawn the last 2 as well. So everything should, if you're going by the last 3 or 4 results, should point to a draw. I don't know. See, are Norwich taking the foot off the gas a little bit? It's tough. I think Norwich will win, but I don't think it's as straightforward as what it looks. I will say, though, the last 2 away games, admittedly, for Huddersfield have been, 4 points off of that. One of them was a draw against Sheffield Wednesday, which, as we said, maybe both teams were disappointed with that one. And they beat QPR, who was just an off-day for them. So I'm not going to read too much into Huddersfield's away form. So I have to back Norwich at home there. Not by a lot, though, 1-0.
Cody?
I've gone the opposite. I think Norwich have finally got not the opposite result, but the opposite style of game. I think Norwich will see Watford coming for the title race, and this is the sort of game where they could wrap it up. From my overall season prediction, I hope not, because I had Watford to win the title, obviously. But Huddersfield on the road, as Charlie mentions, their points were against side who had nothing to play for or are down the bottom. They've done enough, though. They've got themselves out of trouble for now. But I think Norwich are going to go heavy on this one. I'm going for 4-0 to Norwich because everyone thinks that they're just drying up now.
Yeah, I have to go the same with you, Cody, with a Norwich win, a convincing Norwich win. They're due a convincing win. They've stalled lately, a couple of draws. I think they'll be disappointed by that. They just want to get over the line. Let's get them over the line as soon as possible. But I'm going to go Norwich to win 3-0. And let's have a quick recap of what we just predicted for Easter Monday. I've gone wild, 3-2 Brentford win against Birmingham. Charlie's gone for a wild 3-2 Sheffield Wednesday win against Cardiff. And Daniel Cody's gone for a wild 3-2 win for Wickham at Rotherham. And those are our predictions for Matchday 40. Do you agree with us or disagree with us? Let us know in the comment section down there. And give us your predictions for Easter Monday. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the Honest Football Podcast, and you can follow us on Twitter at HonestFootball3. And we'll see you next time.